Here, guys, are you ready for these double dose of triple headers?
Yes, of course.
Nickelodeon, my friend.
Super Wild Card weekend, and I will be down in New Orleans. It's going to be a fun game. Bears, New Orleans. Can't wait.
We saw you got slimed on your Instagram. What was that like?
I did get slimed. My kids, big old buckets of slime showed up at my house. We stirred it up, and they got me good.
What's that taste like, Nate? What is it like? What is that slime like?
It's tasteless. It's
water
soluble. Yeah, it doesn't really have a smell.
I've wondered my whole life. Okay.
I saved a little bit for you. If you
yeah, sure.
I know. Part of me was scared. Like, oh, Nate.
I don't know. Oops.
You never know. Okay,
Guys,
we know.
we got time this week.
Okay. No, don't. I will lose my mind. Actually, there's
slime
gonna
the
be
sheet.
We would love our Insider. He is here right now, NFL Network's very own Ian. Straight off the phone, I wonder what information you may have. The Browns, of course, getting hit with some tough news yesterday. They're back in the playoffs for the first time since 2002, and then the Rona.
Yeah, so many good things happened in the Browns this season. They're in the playoffs finally, as you mentioned, and then this. Here's what has been going on the last 24 hours for the Cleveland Browns. Really a continuation of the COVID-19 issues of the last 2 weeks, actually. Their facility, as of now, is closed, as it was yesterday. We will see if they are able to open at some point today to have some sort of practice, still to be determined, but that is something that they are trying to figure out, doing contact tracing and trying to see where the coronavirus situation inside the facility lies. The head coach, Kevin Stefanski, who emerged as a Coach of the Year candidate to lead this team finally to the playoffs, is out against the Steelers due to COVID-19 issues, as are two assistants. And that is not all. Kadero Hodge and Joel Bitonio both are out Sunday on the COVID-19 reserve list. And it's bad for any player to miss a game. It's bad for any player to miss a playoff game. For Bitonio, who got the game ball last week for being such a stellar part of the organization, a longtime decorated member of the Browns, he is out for this game. All sorts of bad things happening, and still, the Browns will still soldier on and try to win this one and advance to next week, where presumably all those people would participate.
A lot of optimism from this table out there to all the Browns fans. This is a tough hit, a lot tougher than it would be for a lot of the other teams playing on Wild Card weekend or even in the playoffs. Kevin Stefanski calls the plays. Very few other teams do that. Frank Reich, Sean Payton, Sean McVay. So it's a huge deal. So Shrakes, tell me about the guys that are going to be in charge on this weekend.
Yeah, appreciate Ian giving the update. The game is still scheduled to be played. First of all, it's going to be Sunday night, and it's Al and Chris, and we're still playing this game. And the head coach will not be Kevin Stefanski. It'll be Mike Prefer. If you want to see Mike Prefer, this is his resume right here. He is a long-time NFL special teams coach. Was with the Vikings for years, with the Giants for years. Was a graduate of the Naval Academy. When Mike Zimmer went down with what was a freakish eye injury back a couple of years ago, Prefer, he filled in and coached the Vikings, so he has head coaching experience of one game before. They lost to the Cowboys in that game, 17-15, but a well-respected, not a young, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed coach. This is a guy who's been there, been through it, has done it with a lot of winning teams. But almost more importantly, who's calling the plays? Who's the offensive coordinator? Who's the one talking with Baker Mayfield? It'll be that gentleman right there, Alex Van Pelt. Known as a great Bills backup quarterback, and then of course in a playoff game, went in when Jim Kelly went down against the Steelers in '95. But then as a coach has been in the league for 15 years and is most notable for his experience with Aaron Rodgers for 4 seasons in Green Bay. Alex Van Pelt is going to have a huge responsibility working with Baker Mayfield in what will be his first playoff start.
Alex Van Pelt, I remember Aaron Rodgers was not happy to lose him as his quarterback's coach a couple of years ago. We'll see how they handle it all. Some more adversity on their plate ahead of their Sunday night matchup, the last game of the 2 doubleheaders, the 6 games played on Super Wild Card weekend. Now, over in the NFC, we've got Rams Seahawks on Saturday. Our very own Omar Ruiz, who we love here on the show. He has the latest on that matchup between division rivals. Wolford!
Good morning, Kay. Sean McVay saying yesterday that he has yet to make a decision on who his starting quarterback will be on Saturday, but hopes to do so by 1:39 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday. Of course, that's 1 minute before kickoff. He said Jared Goff is our starting quarterback, but of course had that thumb surgery last week, so they'll prepare John Wolford to start as well. He said Goff has already begun throwing and yesterday was scheduled to take snaps under center during the Rams walkthrough. He said that there is much more to quarterbacking than simply throwing the ball, so they'll work him through several drills in practice in the next few days to test his grip strength and make sure he can hold on to the football in traffic in the pocket. Meanwhile, for the Seahawks, star safety Jamal Adams did not practice yesterday. He's dealing with that shoulder injury that he hurt on Sunday against the 49ers. It's a different shoulder than he hurt earlier in the year. Pete Carroll saying that if Jamal Adams is going to play as well on Saturday, that decision would come on game day 2.
Jamal Adams, a pivotal player to keep your eyes on for that matchup. Rams-Seahawks, our first NFC game of Wild Card weekend. That is immediately followed by Brady and the Bucs. They head to Washington to face Chase Young. And then Sunday, the Bears take on Drew Brees and the Saints. Guys, New Orleans, another great season. I'll say it again. Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas played together on the field 2.5 games all season long. They still had a 12-win season. But this is a different story, right? This is the dance. So their last 2 playoff games, both at home, both losses. What would have to happen for the Bears to hand the Saints their 3rd straight postseason loss in the Superdome, Shrakes?
Yeah, to me, it all comes down to the coaching staff of the Bears and their quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. They'd have to have the best games of their lives. That's really it. That's how big the stakes are, and that's how big I think an uphill battle this is. The one thing they have going is there will be no fans in that New Orleans Superdome. So I think that actually is helpful for the Bears. And yet, I come off that Week 17 loss. It's hard to muster up that winner. You know, it's like they did that all for Week 17 and they got blown out by Rodgers. So how do you now, in a 5-day span, get this team motivated again? What do I mean by that? I'm serious. Like, they needed to win and get in the playoffs. So Nagy had to look at his guys and say, we need to go on this run. We need to get it done. We need to make it happen. You need to play your best. Mitch, you got to have your best game. And they didn't. They laid an egg, and yet they still get in. So the authenticity of Matt Nagy has to come through here. He's got to be able to communicate to his guys that, I know I said last week was the game that we needed to get in, and then we're still in even though we didn't play well last week. Well, no, I actually mean this week.
Is the week.
Like, this to me is like really like inner next level coaching and leadership TED Talk type stuff. How do you get a team motivated yet again when last week you had them motivated to a 10 and they got blown out at home to the Packers?
Peter, you're talking about all these coaching candidates. This is why those jobs are hard to get.
This is really
it's a difficult job.
This is a tough thing to do, and you shouldn't have to muster up a multi-millionaire to be motivated. You shouldn't have to muster. But when that team looks at you as a coach, they want to follow you through the fire. They want to follow you through the wall. They want to take you and go wherever you lead them.
Yeah.
Matt Nagy, I don't know if you got it. I don't know if you're a great coach. I don't know if you're just a nice guy. I don't know. This has to be your coup de grace. This has to be the masterpiece, and this has to shut any door and any conversation on whether the Bears can win a big game with you as the coach.
Yeah, masterpiece is spot on. I've always said that coaches are master motivators. And sometimes you have to be master manipulators. And these guys are going to be ready. The team is going to be ready. Chicago Bears, they understand what's going on. But how do you take that readiness and turn it into motivation like you've never seen, never felt before? For me, if they want to have a chance, they got to do what nobody has really done. Let's stop Alvin Kamara. Now, I know that Alvin Kamara is still on the COVID list, and we got to figure it out. This could be down to the final buzzer right before the game if he's going to play or not. But Chicago Bears understand that the only person to stop Alvin Kamara is the coronavirus with a jersey on. And if he steps on this field, he's going to run all over you. So what do? Sell out to stop the run. That's all it is. I get it. Drew Brees is as dialed in as anybody. He can deliver it with the best. He hasn't lost his accuracy. He's getting his playmakers back. He can throw it to 10 different guys given any given game. But stop the run and force Drew Brees to beat you. That would be my best bet. It's not, you know what? Let's try to muddy up the zones and keep these windows from Drew. No, because if you drop everybody, Alvin Kamara will rush for 6 touchdowns. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally what can happen.
You make it 7.
Yeah, so for me, it's sell out to stop the run and see if Drew Brees can beat you.
It's going to be really tough. Really tough. And Nate, I'll pick up where you left off. The matchup here that is so big is Kamara versus Roquan Smith on the Bears. Listen, I don't take a ton from that matchup earlier this year because Foles was in and the Bears defense was just different teams. But what you take from it was Roquan had 11 tackles in that game, 2.5 tackles for a loss. The reason they drafted him was because of people like Alvin Kamara. Yeah. The sideline to sideline, all the speed, like he's banged up. He has an elbow injury. They don't even know if he's going to go. If he's not going to, listen, we love Danny Trevathan. we saw he's in coverage, Marquez Valdez. It's not really what he does. He does a lot of good things. It's not what he does. Roquan needs to play. He needs to play well. And on the other side, lost in that complete shellacking they took to Green Bay was early on in that Bears game. They were dictating, they were good, and they were doing the David Montgomery thing. They were dictating the game. They were like, all right, we're confident, we're running. Our two guards, Bars and Whitehair, are two badasses. We're going to run the ball down your throat. Montgomery got knocked out of the game. The game completely got away from them. If Roquan doesn't play and David Montgomery does not have 20 carries, it might almost be impossible. It might. I hate to use that word in playoff season, but those two guys carry the entire team with them. It's Nagy, sure.
Yeah.
It's those two horses.
Yeah, the reason I keep talking about Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees and how they haven't had much time together on the field and they still have a 12-win season is because they have that record based on the defense that carried them here. Top 5 unit overall. They're not allowing much on the ground. Marshawn Lattimore has been a shutdown corner. Trey Hendrickson, everybody. He is second in the NFL in sacks with 13.5. What you're saying about eliminating the run game and having Drew throw, that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, David Montgomery, we're going to stop you from running. And Mitchell, it's all on your shoulders. I think the Saints can run away with this one, and I hope they're not thinking about what's happened to them the previous 2 years. Just a little credit. I think somehow their defense is underrated and not given enough love, and it doesn't really make sense to me. So we love you, Noah. Okay, Ian's back here with some news. Last night we heard some news about the Texans front office. What's going on?
Well, let's start with the newest news we got really just a couple seconds ago. The Miami Dolphins have announced that Chan Gailey, their 69-year-old offensive coordinator, has resigned. Brian Flores, the head coach, in a release sent by the team, thanked him for his hard work and discussed how they are now going to have to